welcome to WideNet U. I'm Katie Cairo, and today we're going to talk about Facebook analytics and Facebook advertising. And I've got it split into two different presentations, so if you guys need a short break or if you have any questions, I don't want to move past one thing. But by all means, if you have any questions or comments or anything like that while I'm presenting, just raise your hand or just say something. This is more of a discussion. I don't just want to talk at you. So if you need more clarification, please let me know. I'm going to try to keep it as brief as possible because it is somewhat complicated subjects and I don't want to go too in-depth and lose you guys. But like I said, if you have a question, by all means, let me answer it. So, all right. So starting with Facebook analytics, the main reason that you're going to want to even go into analytics is because you need to know who you're speaking to, what's working, and how you can better target your entire message. So it's really important that you just get in there. The first place that we start is at a Facebook page. So does everybody here, are you a Facebook admin? You have a Facebook page that you're controlling? Okay, so I'm going through this in my personal band page because, and we'll get into this a little bit more when we talk about the advertising, but there's a couple of different ways that you can manage pages and ad accounts. And one way is through your personal page. Another way is through the business manager. So if you have multiple Facebook pages and multiple ad accounts, that's a really great way to keep them kind of separate so that your insights and analytics don't merge together. Or a power editor, which I don't think anybody here will qualify for that. It's a lot more complicated, but you do have a lot more options of what you can do and how you can do things. But like I said, it's more for like enterprise level business, like if you're doing thousands of people's things. So again, this is through my personal page. So when you get to your page, you should see something a lot like this. Laid up across the top, you've got messages, notifications, and insights, which is where we're going to be going. And over here where this big green check mark is, you see a little quick synopsis of what's going on. How many page likes did you get this week? How many people did you reach? Did you get anybody to go through your call to action button, which ours is book now, because we want people to call us and book us. What is your response rate when you're getting messages, getting comments? Like how fast are you communicating effectively, or are you missing things? And then any unread notifications or messages. So like I said, we're going to go into insights first. And once you click on your insight button, you're going to come back into another just kind of overall recap of what's going on. It's only going to show you for the past week, but it's going to give you a little breakdown of how many page likes you have, what type of an increase percentage-wise that was from the previous week. And then you can see it represented graphically between this week and last week. Same thing with post reach. How many people did your posts reach this past week? And what percentage growth that is. And then from the previous week. And then engagement, like how many people were commenting, liking, sharing. And it gives you just your top 5 most recent posts and a quick, what type of post was it? Was it a link? Was it a message? What is a photo? How many people did it get to? What was your targeting? Was it a very specific target, or was it just completely open, which is represented by the little globe down here on the bottom? And then you see a little click on the bars, the blue and purple bars that are saying post clicks versus likes versus reach, paid versus organic. So if you're not promoting and you're not doing any advertising, all of your reach is organic. But if you're putting any money behind these individual posts, then you're going to see a difference between what you've paid for and what you just got naturally from your page. But you'll always see an increase in organic traction when you promote, because it's just going to get to more people. And sometimes people are just going to be more likely to share it, but then you didn't necessarily pay for that share. So it can get a little complicated, but it's nice that you can kind of see. And you can click on that little lovely box that says view results with the circular arrow, and you can see an individual breakdown of every action that happened on that post from where you did advertise it. So we're going to go to likes first. And a like is kind of this empty type thing that, what does it even mean? It's just, what does that get you in real life? But essentially what a like is saying is somebody has decided that they're interested enough in your company, product, or service that they want to hear about what you're doing on a regular basis. So while it seems somewhat empty, it's actually great because now you know that this person wants your message and you're going to be able to give it to them. So likes are great. So let's look at how do we kind of analyze what type of likes we're looking at. The first thing I want to show you is make sure that the dates that you're currently viewing are what you want to be seeing. So up here where you see this pink writing, change the dates right here, you can change that. You can look at a 3-month span, you can look at a 1-week span, 1-day span, whatever you want. I prefer to look at things in a month because I feel like month to month you get a really good view of what's changing. And then I like to look at it in quarters. And that way I can kind of see change over time, quick change, and just kind of do a better synopsis of what's really going on here and trend wise. Because 1 month you could have had a ton of stuff going on and the next month you didn't have very much. But if you look at it as a quarter, this quarter is always really busy, this quarter is always really slow, and you just get a better idea of your trends. But let's start with this. We're going to be looking at a month view and all of these. So up at the top, it just kind of shows you the range of what you're looking at. And you can use the slider to move it to make your change in what type of dates you're looking at, or you can just type it right in there where I've got that arrow pointed. So the next thing right underneath where you're going to change what the date value is a graph of your total likes over time. Now in this one, you can see I have a huge drop in likes all of a sudden. And that's actually because Facebook went in and did some cleaning. They took out all fake accounts. They ran an algorithm, and if you were not a legitimate user, you got removed. So a lot of business pages in this past month saw a little dip in the amount of likes that they have. But that's a positive thing because they're taking away these spam accounts and you're just getting back to those like users that you really want to talk to. But it's nice to see how your changes. You want to see steady growth. If you saw some huge spike, you would want to know, hey, where did that spike come from? And that's where we're going to get into the analytics of figuring out why did that happen? What did I do? And how can I recreate that again? So like I said, this is just a nice little graph to kind of show you your growth over time. So this next one it's going to show you the difference between the likes that you're getting versus the amount of people that are unliking your page. So anytime that you're promoting and you're putting your stuff out there, you're naturally going to weed out these people who were like, oh, maybe I did really like you, but actually I don't care what you're saying and you're just in my newsfeed too much, so I'm going to unlike you. I do that a lot. I'll go in to like a company just to kind of see what they're doing, and then they get on my nerves and I go back in and unlike them. But that's good because I wasn't actually interested in what they were doing, so they don't want me to like their page, because you want people that are interested in your service and your product and your message, not people just hanging around. So of course I see quite a few unlikes, but honestly, this is great. I've got 5, 6, 7 unlikes and, quite a good growth in organic and paid likes through combination of posting and advertising. So to me, this is a very positive looking graph. And, I would have no worries if I went to here. Now, if I had 27 unlikes and I had only gained, 10 likes, that's a huge red flag. Something's going on. I'm doing something wrong. I'm over posting, I'm giving the wrong message, and that's going to make me want to go in further to my analytics and figure out what happened. How can I correlate? Okay, this was on the 29th. What did I do on the 29th that was so offensive that 10 people unliked my page? So it's a really important thing, but it's a great way for you to kind of look at just the difference in the relativity between the two. So where did your page likes happen? Where did the people come from? Did they come from your page? Did they come from an ad? Did they come from some sort of third-party mobile app? Did they come from a page suggestion? I know you've probably all seen that, like, hey, your friends like this page, you should too. Or was it just something that's so unclassified that is grouped into the other category? But it's important to know where these things are coming from because that's going to give you a better way of capturing that audience again. Okay, the majority of my pages the majority of my likes are just coming from my page and ads. So that's great. If the majority of them were uncategorized mobile, then I'm probably going to take that to heart and shorten the way that I speak, make sure that everything that I do is optimized for a mobile view, and just change the way that I'm posting on my page. Because if it's mobile dominated, then I want to speak to them how they're coming to my page. Does that make sense? So it's really important to kind of look at this and make sure that you understand. And you can click on each one of these benchmarks and it takes away those comparisons. So you can look at it a little bit cleaner. So does everybody understand likes? Do you guys have any questions about that? Okay. So the next place that we're going to go to is reach. And all that means is how many people saw it. So when you have a billboard up or you have a TV ad going, how many people saw it? Who knows, right? Because people are driving by. We can give you an estimated traffic count. We can tell you how many people we think were or were not watching, but we can actually tell you if they were watching the TV and watching your ad or they saw that billboard as they drove by. But with Facebook, I can tell you that. Because not only can I tell you exactly how many people you reached, I can tell you detailed demographics about them, whether they actually liked what they did, they commented, they shared, or it turned them off and they unliked your page. So reach is really important because in the end, that's really what it's all about. I mean, yeah, you may want them to do a specific action, but more than anything, you want to get your message in front of more people. So when we start looking at reach, it's going to, again, break it down, paid versus organic. So you can see, obviously, on April 8th, I ran a promotion, and it got me a lot more reach than my average organic reach. But most of the time, I get about the same amount of reach per post. So that's good. You know, if I was seeing some posts were really, really low, which I do have some low ones, so I would want to go back in and say, what did I do there, and why did it not gain any traction? And what did I do in these huge spikes where I didn't promote, but it got a lot of traction? I want to recreate that. And that's going to help me better fine tune what I'm saying and how I'm posting. On the bottom is going to show you the actual actions that happened. So top, you've got how many people you reached, and the bottom you have how many people did something off of that reach. So did they like my page? Did they like the post? Did they comment on it? Did they share it with their friends? What happened? And it gives you a better relativity between. So you see the really small spike around the 19th through the 26th in November. You look down and I got likes and comments and shares off of it. So while I might not have reached a ton of people, my average engagement ratio was excellent. So I would not change what I did there. So you see what I'm saying? Like, you look at the top one and you're saying, okay, I'm not seeing anything here. I'm not reaching a lot of people. But then you look at the bottom graph and you say, but the people I did reach really liked what they saw, you know, and they engaged with it and they shared it. So I'm going to do that again. And luckily, when you look back at the big spikes, we still have the same amount of engagement ratio. So that's a positive thing. It's not about the number of people that you reach on average. It's about what they do once you reach them. So you want to try and keep that engagement ratio the same over time. If you see, well, 1 month, you know, I had nobody commenting and liking, but I was reaching 5,000 people on average per post. And the next month you're saying I reached 300 people, but I had 17 likes and 26 comments and 5 shares. That's a better month. So keep that in mind when you're looking at it. While it is about getting your message in front of the more people that you can, the most amount of people that you can, you also want to make sure that those people like what they're seeing. Not literally, but you know. So the next section that you're going to see is the hide report. Whether they reported it as spam, if they unliked your page, or if they decided to hide everything that comes from you. So I see a lot of hides. I always equate those to like my mother's, uncles, cousins, the people that feel obligated to like my page because they have a personal connection with me, but don't actually like my page. They don't care about my music. They don't want to come to my show. They just don't want me to know that. So they're going to hide my posts. They're going to unlike my page, or they're somebody that, I don't know, they came to a show, they didn't like the way that we sang, so now they're upset with us and they're going to report us as spam. You never know. Or maybe you did something really offensive. Maybe that joke that you did didn't go over so well and you had a ton of people report you as spam. Maybe you need to change the tone of the way that you're speaking. So this is an important little graph. And again, you can click through and have the individual benchmarks hidden without the comparison. Now on the bottom, again, you've got your total reach. And it just, I put that there again so that you can see the correlation between the two, because none of these analytics, none of this data can be taken as just one singular piece of data. It all is interrelated. And if you don't look at what's going on between all of it, then you don't get the full picture about what's really working and what's not. So did you guys have any questions about reach? All right, so we're gonna go to visits. So this is one of the ones that I end up spending the most time in, because I want to know what are they coming to? Where's the first place that they're going to come to when they're coming to my page? Is it my timeline? Is it my photos tabs? Is it my info, events, or is it somewhere else? Because if people like seeing tons of photos of my band, I'm going to remember that. And that's what I'm going to try and do from that point forward. Instead of constantly just saying, hey, we've got a show here. Hey, we've got a show there. Show pictures of us in practice. Show pictures of us at the show. Try and really reach on that and pull those people in. But if they just like coming straight to our timeline, then maybe they just like the general whatever. They just want our message and, you know, they're already happy. Or if they're constantly going to the events tab, I need to make sure that I have those events up to date and constantly in there at least a month in advance because they want to know where we're playing next. Down at the bottom, you see external refers. And this is really important because you want to know where outside of Facebook are people coming to your page from. Does that make sense? So you look at here and we've got google.com. So they're obviously just doing general searches looking for the Gypsy Begonias. You've got from our actual website, thegypsybegonias.com. We've got Cheehaw Brewing Company, which is somewhere that we play a lot and they always post a blog. So that's good to know. That's going to give me leverage the next time that I go back. I may be willing to negotiate for a lower rate because I see that they're obviously bringing interest to my band. We've got bowwilliams.com, and I don't even know what that is. So now, hey, I've got something I need to look into. What is this bowwilliams.com, and how did I get this huge spike of external refers from there? That's interesting to me. I want to figure out what that is and reach out to this person and see if that's a potential partnership that I can use to grow my business. So visits are really important, and it's great to know where these people are coming from and what they're coming to right off the bat. But post is where the money is. So posts are, what have you actually put out there? Was it a link? Was it a photo? Was it an event? What was it? And how did they react to it? The most important place that you should always be aware of and looking, and this is a great one to look week to week to week to week. What days are people on your page and what times are they on Facebook? Because I know you probably heard us say, you know, you can only get 6% of your total audience captured in a Facebook post without promoting it. But it's actually a lot less than that because you only get the percentage of the people that are connected to your band that are your page that are currently on Facebook at that time. So while I may have 1,200 something likes, if only 400 people are on Facebook at the time that I post that, it has an average of 4 hours. So let's say there's 500 people in that 4-hour time frame, and I only get 6% of that 400. That's a very different number than 6% of 1,200. So it's really important to know when are people on Facebook that are connected to your page. Is there a best day? So I'm looking across here, and I don't really see a best day. It looks like across the board, we're fine posting any day we want. Normally, we do post towards the weekend because that's when we have gigs, so that just makes the most sense to us. But what I do see is after 6 p.m., I get a spike. So that's going to tell me from this point forward, I think I need to push my posts back a little bit later in the day. I don't really want to be posting at 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning because I don't have nearly the amount of crowd that's connected to my page on Facebook at that time. So it's really important that you look at this. Like with WideNet specifically, if you look at our data, we have a spike on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. People are all over Facebook that are connected to our page on those days. Now, if I post something on Tuesdays, I don't normally get nearly the traction or engagement because they're just not there. I don't know what it is about Tuesdays and the people that like our page, but they're just not on Facebook. But Mondays they are, and Fridays they are, and especially in the afternoon, which we equate to beginning and end of work week. You know, beginning of the work week, nobody wants to really check their email, so they're on Facebook instead. End of Friday, they're already done. They might still be in the office, but they're definitely looking at cat memes on Facebook. So this is really important. Now, this is the very first tab, which you can see when your fans are online. And the next one we're going to go to is by post types. So this is going to show you what your average engagement is versus your reach by post types. So you've got links, status, or photos. Links are any time that you link out to an article. So if you're embedding a link saying like what we did today, you know, WideNet U starts today, register, we embedded that link into our post. So that would be considered a link. If you were just to attach a photo and then have text, that's considered just a photo. If it's just text, that's considered just a status update. So you'll see for us, we don't get very much traction at all on photos, nor on status. But when we put a link in, our engagement goes through the roof as well as our reach. So I try to gear the way that I post towards links. Now, we still get, even when we just do photos, our engagement is great. So I'm not going to discount that. I'm still going to make sure that I put those photos on there, but I'm not going to lean as heavy on it because my reach is only 3 people on average. But those 3 people did a lot of liking, commenting, sharing, and clicking. So it must have been something great. Same thing with status. I get tons of likes and comments, even though my reach is quite low. So from this, I'm obviously going to gear towards links, but I'm not going to discount status or photos either because I still have that great engagement ratio, which is what's so important. So reach is important, but don't forget, how are they interacting? Cannot stress that enough. So the last thing that we have is a breakdown of each individual post. What type of post was it? The targeting, again, whether it was global or you were going to a very specific audience. And that's something that we're going to get much further into in the actual advertising part of this. The engagement ratio, and then whether the post was promoted or not. But it gives you a really good idea of, so that photo, apparently it was when I updated our cover photo. And we got tons and tons of likes and comments, but we really only reached 3 people. Well, I know why that was, because as soon as I updated it, I immediately hid it from our timeline. So while it was still in the news feed and people going through could see, oh, the Gypsy Begonias, oh, they updated their cover photo, they had to click over to the page and it was gone. So that's why I only had 3 people see it. So that's a positive thing for me. Now I'm going to not worry about that reach as much anymore. See, so it's really important that you look at what were these posts, because you're going to remember what you did or did not do on these posts. And that's going to give you a better idea when you look back at the reach and then that engagement ratio. We've got just finished recording. Join us on October 25th. Chiha Brewing with the glass jars down at the second to last one. 877 people saw that post. But we had 64 people click on that link to go over to our website and check out what we were doing, as well as 62 people that liked, commented, or shared that post. That was an excellent post. Obviously, people like it when we're recording. Maybe we should do it more often. You know, go a little bit further up to 12/11/2014. Hey, everybody, the next show has been confirmed. 500 people reached, 14 that are clicking, and 24 that are like, commenting, or sharing. So while my engagement or my overall reach went down, my engagement still stayed pretty relative. So again, a positive post. Let's look at this guy, 12/27, the very next one. It's about that time. Come on down to Chiha Brewing Company. Great reach, terrible engagement. Maybe I should have posted the day before. You know, maybe I should have given it a little bit more time. So when I come back into posting about our next show, I'm going to say, maybe I need to post that 3 days out and then a reminder the day before instead of a month before and then the day before. So it just kind of gives you a better idea of how to plan out your content calendar. Going back on, what is the post? What was my reach? What was the ratio? Was it successful or not? So the very last thing, oh, do you guys have any questions about the posts? No? All right, I got nothing but crickets. So the last thing that we're going to talk about is the people, because really that's why we're here, is to connect with people to your brand or your business. So this is going to give you a really good idea of who's liked your page, who's seen your posts, and what are they doing with it afterwards. So these all might look a little the same, but if you look up at the top, it says your fans. The next frame we're going to go to is people reached, and the next frame will be people engaged. So while they do look the same, these are all different data. So this is where it really comes down to the demographics, which is really, really important because every single person in here has the idea of who their ideal customer is. It may be a couple of different ideas, but you definitely have that snapshot of who's engaging with you and why they would be. This is great. You see 54% of your fans are women and 46% of all people on Facebook are women. So we're capturing a large demographic there. Now, before I had Facebook Insights and analytics, I always assumed, since I was the singer, that the majority of our demographic was men. You know, just common assumption, like men like to watch women dance around on stage and sing, right? That's who it is. But then after I finally got into it and I started seeing all the analytics, that's completely untrue. We have a huge female demographic, and they're all between 25 and 54. So it definitely made me change the way that I spoke, the way that I posted. I changed our entire tone and the whole marketing campaign behind my band, because I realized I was speaking to the wrong person, you know, and it definitely changed the way that people interacted with us and the growth that we experienced over the next 6 months. So men, 45% of my fans are men, and 54% of all Facebook are men. So we're definitely doing a really good job of hitting our demographic. Like I said, you can see the breakdown in what is the overall Facebook is the light gray, and then your demographic are the darker blues. So you can see, again, we're hitting that 25 to 54 demographic really heavily, and that's great. You can see where are these countries, where are the people coming from, what country. We've got, of course, the majority here in the United States. And then you've got some in South Korea, Colombia, UK, Indonesia, Puerto Rico. Now, some of these, I know that I have friends that are in those countries, so that's probably who's checking this out. Other of them, I have no idea where they're coming from. But since it's not a large number, it's not anything that would raise a flag for me to really look into. I'm just going to assume maybe it was an accident. Maybe they were looking for something else. Who knows? But if I continue to see a trend from a specific country, I'm going to look into that and see, do we have a fan there? Is there something going on? Can I reach out to that person and kind of bring them into our community and make them feel more welcome? Because that person could end up being my biggest advocate. So you've got to break down by the cities, which is great because you want to know. We play a lot over the Southeast. So it's important to me when I go to book a gig, I need to be able to tell that promoter or that event manager, hey, we've got a huge demographic here. You know, this is what it looks like. I see that the majority of your bar is this age and this type of person. And that's exactly the type of people that are interested in our stuff. So I think this would be a great partnership. And then they look at me and they say, hey, you've really got it together. Okay, I'll just give you what you're asking for. Great. You know, but it gives you that back-end data that when you start looking at partnerships or doing something or reaching out or growing a promotion, you have a little bit more insight into who your actual users are. And of course, it gives you a breakdown on the language, which again, the majority of it is the US. We do have some Spanish and French and Indonesian. I know I had a group over from a nonprofit that I'm involved with from Argentina, and I know they were all checking it out. So I'm guessing that that's the majority of that Spanish speaking, even though they would technically be Portuguese, but I'm guessing that's where that demographic is. So our next is people reached. So the first was the fans, right? Now we're looking at people reached. So this includes any type of advertisement that I've done where I've reached external people that are not attached currently. They haven't liked my page. They're not interacting with me on a daily basis. So this is really great because it's showing I'm still sitting, but I'm reaching more women. So I'm doing a good job, right? Because that's my main demographic is women between the ages of 24 to 54. I'm doing a great job. I'm hitting these people. My message is being heard, and I'm still staying in the same general target. I've got the countries are the same. The people in the towns are the same. The languages are the same. So this is excellent. Now, if I saw some huge differentiation, that would be another flag for me. What did I do? Did I change the tone in this post when I promoted it? Why did it not reach those people? You know, and it gives me a little bit more insight to go back in and rework the way that I'm going to do my marketing campaign the next month. And the last one is people engaged. And this one is where the real heavy hitter is, because while we love that we reach people and we love that people connect and they like our page, what we really want them to do is interact with us. We want them liking, we want them sharing, we want them commenting, because that shows that they're actively listening. They're not just sitting in a seat, hanging out, saying like. They're actually, they care. They like your message and they're reacting to it. So again, we're staying in that same demographic, and we've actually even excelled further into the women. So we're doing a great job. The women are interacting with what we're saying. They're staying in that general frame of age group, and all my cities are the same, English speaking, United States, the majority of the people. So I am hitting my target. What I'm doing is working. Now, if I saw it was this huge skew, again, red flag, I'm going to look at what I'm doing and decide maybe it's time to go back to the drawing board. Does that make sense to everyone? So do I have any questions about general analytics before we go to the next presentation? Nothing? All right, so if anybody does need a really short break, go to potty, get some more drink, or throw away your stuff, go ahead and do that now. It will take like about a minute, 2 minutes. Now, I did kind of assume a couple of things before I started. I did assume that you guys are all Facebook admins. I did assume that you all have your Facebook page set up correctly and all of that kind of stuff. If I was incorrect in those assumptions, there is another WideNet U that is more detailed about setting up your page and kind of the generalized do's, don'ts, and rules and the different privacy settings and things like that. And it's on, if you go to the WideNet U page on our website, you can see that presentation. I think it was from last July.
Look at that.
Yeah, and that's definitely more in depth. Now that one went really long as well because it's just a ton of information, but it's important stuff. So
You can look at it on the website.
you can watch the whole presentation and follow along with the slides. But it talks about like profanity filters or turning off or turning on the ability for people to leave reviews, things like that. And like I said, I did kind of make those assumptions, but this is a lot of information on its own, so I wasn't going to be able to cover
I'm
both.
used to the personal
Uh-huh.
Facebook, but not so much
The
the
business.
business.
Yeah, it's definitely a different mindset, and it takes a minute, but you still want to keep that like casual conversation tone with your business, but in a professional way. That sounds really contradictory, but
I know what you mean.
yeah. But you should definitely watch that. I think you would get a lot from it. We did a whole social series last summer. So we did Facebook and then Twitter and then LinkedIn and Google+. All right, so I do use a lot of memes in my presentations, partially because I know all of this information is a little dorky and I'm trying to get some laughs out of you guys. But also that's just kind of my personality. So be prepared. So now we're going to talk about Facebook advertising. And this is where you're going to spend a little money to actually get right into the meat of who you want to speak to. We hit on it a little bit when we were talking about the analytics, but now we're going to dive a little bit deeper. So my original title for this presentation was Facebook, it's not just cat photos. Because that's just a lot of what you see is just all of these memes or pictures of people's kids or cat photos. I mean, I have a cat and I get it, but I don't feel like I take that many pictures of my cat, but maybe I should start, you know? But, you know, Facebook advertising is so powerful to get your message right in front of the people who not only want to hear it, but they're there right then. Speak to them, capture them. It's great. And honestly, what if I told you that you could set up Facebook accounting, your ad account in less than 3 minutes? That's completely true. So there's no reason to not be doing it. It relatively, when you start looking at ad spend, digital spend versus traditional spend, and I'm not talking about Google AdWords or Bing or anything like that. I'm speaking specifically to social advertising. It is like quarters on the dollar. I mean, maybe even less, pennies. You know, like your average acquisition cost is so low. Just getting in front of those people, I mean, comparison-wise, there is no comparison. So it's really, really presumptuous to think that it's not going to work for your business until you give it a try. So we talked a little bit about the difference between the types of ad accounts when I first started the other one. And so I'm going to get a little bit further into that now. So this is what you go in and you say, I'm going to create an ad. And this is where it takes you if you're going through your personal profile. It's going to say, which page are you wanting to do this for? I'm an admin on a lot of pages personally, and then business-wise through WideNet. So I have a lot of options here. But it's also going to ask me, what do I want to do with this ad? But this is exactly what it's going to look like once you press that create an ad button. This is what it's going to look like if you have a business account. which, like I said, we use this because before we switched over to this, let's say I had 12 different businesses plus all of those personal things. When I ran advertisements, all of my analytics went in together in one big, nice, ugly pile. And I would spend hours and hours separating it and getting it all out so that I could then report on it to each of my clients. So now I have an ad account for each individual Facebook page that I manage. Plus, it automatically takes my personal account completely away. And now I'm only there through the business of WideNet. So it's just a really good way. If you have a lot of employees, this can be a really positive thing for you. You can set permissions individually, not only on the page, but also on the ad account. Like even some of our clients they want to be able to view it. However, they can't change anything, but they just like to be able to see it because they want to know what's going on. The last one that I said none of you should ever really worry about unless you go like baller level on me, is the power editor. It's really complicated. It's got a lot of positive things. You can do stuff like dark posts, which is where you make a post and then advertise it, but it doesn't actually show up on your page. It's kind of like a little trick. But like I said, it's complicated. Facebook has tons of great tutorials though. So if it is something that you're interested, by all means look into it. I'm not going to try and turn you away from it. I'm just going to tell you, just realize what you're getting into. It might be a little bit more than you want to bite off. So first thing we have to do is choose our objective. Why are we advertising? What do we really want from here? And we've got a couple of different options. Now this used to be set a little differently. They just recently changed it. But the first option is increase awareness of your brand or business. So you're wanting to reach and engage people. You want to get more page likes. You want to reach people near your store that are driving around by you, or you want to get more views for a video that you've just posted, which videos are great. And if you guys haven't tried that yet, by all means, please try some videos. It's super fun. And I think you'd be surprised at the type of engagement you get off of it. But you're going to pick one of these if your goal is to raise awareness. Let's say you're just looking for potential customers, which is probably the majority of what people are looking for. Here you have a couple of different options. And again, this can be as complicated or as simple as you want it to be. Clicks to your website. That's just generalized. I just want them going to my website. I don't care what they do once they're there. I'm going to send them to a specific page. I just want them going. Conversions on your website. I have an incredibly specific goal in mind. I have the ability to tracking code in the code on my website. So this is really great if you want to track your cost per conversion or cost per acquisition, which you can still do by clicks to your website, but you just need to know that you're going to have to do that math on your own. But it is really nice to know, like we run multiple campaigns. I may have an ad campaign on Google AdWords. I may have an email campaign and 3 different social campaigns, all going to the same page. I want to track which ad and which campaign drove them there. So this is when I use pixel tracking, which is the conversions on your website. It just gives me that much more information about where I should put the majority of my effort behind for WideNet so that I don't get too scattered, because it's great to try everything, but you have to know what really works for your money in the end. Installs on your app. If you have an app and you want people to download it and install it, this is an excellent way to advertise to them. I mean, we all know everyone's on Facebook all of the time. So why not promote your app and get them in there? We've got like financial institutions. You're rolling out a new mobile banking app. What a great way to promote it. Right there in line, scrolling through the news feed. Oh, hey, I'm so excited. My favorite bank just got a mobile app. Awesome. Now I can direct deposit from my phone. This is great. Responses to a Facebook event. Now, I try to warn people, this one can be a little tricky. And the way that I go about it is I'm involved with a lot of events and promotion on the side. And ultimately, I just want to get the word out about my event. It's great if they RSVP on Facebook, and that's excellent, but that's really not the ultimate goal of this specific type of ad. It's just to get people looking at your event and to get it in front of people. It sounds so easy to get somebody to click, yes, I'm going, or yes, I like this, but it's really complicated, actually. I mean, people just don't want to do anything really, except for look at it. So just remember that you're not always going to see a huge response rate, but on this one, you're going to look at the reach, because that's what you're really, really paying for here. Or you want to drive sales for a product or service. So again, we're looking at clicks to websites, but we're going to we're going to kind of go about this one a whole different way, because I'm trying to sell this specific pair of shoes because I have an overstock of them and I need them off the shelves. So I'm pushing to a very specific product page. Or again, conversions. Again, you need to be able to have the ability to put that tracking code on your site. Engagement in your app. They've already downloaded it. Now I just want them using it. So I'm going to do specific screenshots, talk about the reasons that you should be in there right now, offer special promotions within my app, only if you've downloaded it, things like that. Or get a redemption for a coupon or discount. These are really powerful. You can put a very specific quantity on them. Let's say that you want to give out a $10 gift card on anything $50 or more, but you only want to give out 50 of them. You can do that. And then they can claim it straight from their phone. They can print it out. They can just bring it in and show it to you. But it gives you another way to kind of just offer that incentive to people that are already connected to your page and get them looking and checking and coming back more often. So do you guys have any questions about any of these or need some more information? Okay. So let's get a little bit more specific. We're going to talk about your audience. So who is your audience? Who are you talking to? I have different clients. Some clients want to speak to the entire United States. Some clients want to speak to the entire world. Some clients only want to speak to a 50-mile radius around Oxford. Some are regional. This is where my audience comes in so importantly. I can specifically target people by location. And I can say 10-mile radius, 25-mile radius, 50-mile radius. So what I like to do is I get out a map and I say, okay, this client is Northeast regional or just Northeast Alabama. So I pick and I draw my little circles and then I pick all of my towns. And before I know it, I have this huge cluster that covers the entire Northeast Alabama and I'm speaking directly to those people. That's really powerful. There's not a lot of other places that you can do that. Not to mention, we get age. So for us, a lot of the things that we do, we have a certain type of audience that we're looking for. We can make a couple of assumptions about them. One, they probably either have an established business or they have a really great start fund. So they're going to have a little bit of money if they're going to come to us, right? So we know that most likely an 18-year-old is not going to be in my target demographic. I rarely do anything less than 22 because I say you could be graduating from college and maybe you took out a loan and opened your own business. So I'm not going to throw you out there, but most likely our target audience is between 28 and 65 because we're looking at a mid to upper level executive, somebody that can make the decision. Yes, I want a website. Yes, I want to go with a marketing campaign. I'm ready to do this today. I don't want to talk to the person that I can't sell to. Does that make sense? Same thing with interests. Now, I didn't really get super detailed into this, but we are going to go into the ad editor in just a second, and I'm going to get a little bit more into it. But with interests, I mean, the world is yours. Think about what your people could be interested in. Do they like smartphones? Are they a Facebook admin? When I promoted this post for this class, I specifically promoted it to people that were Facebook admins because why would anybody else want to come here? If you don't have a Facebook page, how am I even going to teach you what I'm teaching you, right? So I specifically targeted those people. Family and relationships. Are they a new parent? Maybe they're looking for life insurance. I don't know. Food and drink. I'm a brewing company. I only want to talk to people that like craft beers. Hobbies and activities. I am specifically targeting cyclists. That's who I want to speak to. Or outdoors running people. You know, you can really get in and find that ideal person and speak to them. Over to the right, you see this little meter. It kind of looks like a gas meter. You want it going almost dead to the middle. If your audience is too broad, you're going to waste a lot of money because you're not talking to a specific audience. If your audience is too specific, then you're talking to too little people. So you're not really going to get the traction for your money. So you just kind of want to make sure your audience is right there in the middle. And down at the bottom, it gives you your potential reach of the entire everything that you've filtered in. You've said these types of interests, these types of locations. Now, the thing that you can't see under interest is connections. And what that's going to ask you is, do you want to speak to people that are already connected to your page, people that are connected to your page and their friends, or people that are not connected to your page? So if I'm looking to grow the amount of people that are connected that have liked my page, then I don't want to talk to people that are connected to my page. If I want to get specific, like RSVPs or app downloads or something like that, then I probably want to speak to people that are connected to my page and their friends, because I can assume that their friends are most likely pretty similar to them. If I want a specific coupon or discount, I'm only going to want to speak to the people that are already connected to my page. Does that make sense? So the next thing we're going to talk about is the money. So what is your budget? You can choose to spend a certain amount per day, or you can have a lifetime budget. Now, I always recommend that you choose a lifetime budget because everybody gets busy and it's really easy to forget to go back in there and turn off your campaign. And if you said, I'm going to spend $20 a day, and now you've gone 5 days and you realize, oh my gosh, I forgot to turn off my campaign, you just spent $100. So I like to just say, choose a lifetime budget, say this is what I'm going to spend the whole time, and then just let it run. It's just kind of a fail safe. I mean, you can do it either way. I have clients that run consistent campaigns, so we do theirs by day because they know they're going to spend this much every day regardless, and they're going to do it for the next year. But like WideNet, we specifically target which posts we promote and which things we put money behind, because not everything has a goal in mind. Sometimes it's just there to speak. You know, it's just fluff. It's just for your entertainment. And sometimes there's a goal behind it. The next thing that you're going to say is you can run it continuously starting today through infinity. Or I'm going to start it today and I'm going to end it in 5 days at 12 o'clock because my webinar starts at 12 o'clock. So why would I want to promote it past then? Because it's already started and now they're too late, right? You're going to optimize for what? Post engagement. I want them liking, commenting, sharing. Daily reach. I want to get the most amount of people to see it every single day. Impressions. I don't really care if it's this day or tomorrow. I just want everyone seeing it. I don't care if they see it 7 times. I just want them to see it. Clicks. I need them clicking on here. And while that's not my main objective, maybe that's still how I'm going to improve my ROI in the end. It's a cost per click. So sometimes let's say that I know I'm willing to spend $20 per acquisition, but per click, I only want to spend 25 cents. That way I know here I've got these limits and I know, okay, I got 5 conversions off of this and my average conversion cost was $18. Success. But my cost per click was 37 cents. Incorrect. So what did I do wrong? I need to go back in and look at that ad and see how I can better tailor. Was I speaking to the wrong people? Was I not direct enough? Was my call to action misconstrued somehow? So it kind of gives you a really good idea to have these things in your head. How much are you going to spend? And then how much are you actually willing to pay for that individual action? Down at the very bottom, it's going to give you the ad scheduling, which is going to say, I want it to only run between this time and this time, or I want it to run all day, every day, regardless of whether it's 3 a.m. or 7. And then please, by all means, change your ad set name, because if not, it will go automatically to the geographic location and the lowest age that you have chosen, and it will get really, really complicated after you've ran 12 ads, and they all say the same thing. So make sure that down at the bottom where it says ad set name, just make that something unique. It'll help you in the long run. Oh, one thing I missed over here. Over to the right, you see estimated daily reach. This gives you a really good idea of what you should get out of this ad from what you've said I'm going to spend and how you've chose to quantify the amount that you spend, whether it was impressions, engagement, reach, clicks. So make sure you're looking at this, and if it's not something that you think is worth your money, then it's not. If you're only reaching 20 people a day, is that really something that's worthwhile? Maybe you need to change your budget or the way that you're targeting. Do you have a question?
Yeah. On the money side of it, how much is there a per click price? And they said 37 cents. How does that figure get derived from?
Okay, so if your budget is $50, it's going to start running. And then every single time that someone clicks, it takes an average of the amount of people that didn't click versus the amount of people that did click. And then it's going to tell you, so this was your cost per view. And then each person that clicked, it's just math. It's just averages. And it's going to say, so you probably paid 57 cents for this one, but the other 18 clicks were only 18 cents. So they're going to take an average of that, and that's going to be your cost per click. Does that make sense? Sometimes it takes a little while to run the ads and get that idea in your head, and you know, I need it to be at least this. I think the best thing to say is, I'm going to spend this much money and this is what I want to get out of it. And what is that? And then what I do is set benchmarks and say, okay, this did not make out, because I'm looking at the averages across the other types of companies that I've ran ads for and what is typical. So it's it would take a while before you would maybe be able to know benchmark wise exactly what yours should be. Does that make sense? Now, cost per acquisition or conversion, that's going to be something off the top of your head that you're going to know. One of my clients, he's specifically trying to get huge leads on $1 million contracts. So if my cost per acquisition for him is $1,200, that's still a positive ROI for him. But if my cost per acquisition for us is $1,200, we have a big problem. So, I think it's easier to look at it that way. Like, how many leads are you going to get out of it? And what do you quantify the number to that? If your first consultation is a $50 fee, then that's what you're going to say. Each lead is worth $50. Does that make sense? So the next thing that you're going to go into is, what are you actually saying? We're going to make sure that we change the post. We're going to make sure that it says exactly what we want to say. If we want to change that picture that we've just brought into that link, I want to make sure that it's the right picture and that it's optimized correctly. Like this one, you can't really even see what's going on. So I'm immediately going to want to change that picture to something else. You want to make sure that it's all coming in the way that you see it. Have you ever seen where somebody puts a link out on Facebook and there's all like NSPB and like weird ampersands and it just doesn't make any sense in the meta? You're able to change that and they're able to change that. So by all means, change it. Make sure it says what you want it to say. Make sure it's clear and direct and that it makes sense and it's going to cause that person to click. Because if you don't have a reason for them to click, they're not going to. So use that for your advantage. You're going to be able to put a tracking pixel. So let's say you had a previous tracking pixel on a lead page where you're pushing people over there and you want them to put in their email address to become a customer or contact you. You can attach that to this ad, even though you might not be bidding for conversions. That way you just kind of know. And it's telling you, hey, that conversion actually came from this Facebook ad. You get to choose where you want it to actually be. Do you want it in the desktop newsfeed? So when people are on their computer at work or on their laptop, it's coming through their newsfeed. Do you only want it on mobile phones? Do you even want it on the right hand, the little right column? A lot of times you'll see the ads over there. So you can choose. I rarely use right column ads. I don't find them very effective. Normally all they do is drive up all my averages and make me look like I don't know what I'm doing. So I almost immediately turn those off. Same thing with desktop. I don't ever find that I get the engagement that I want, unless it's something like this webinar where I'm saying, I want you to register. I'm going to leave the desktop on because it's most likely something they may see from their mobile phone, but they're probably going to go back and actually convert while they're on their desktop. So keep in mind, what are you asking these people to do and where's going to be the best place for you to spend your money? Mobile works great. I know everyone's heard, mobile is the first screen. I can't stress that enough. If you can advertise on mobile, you should be doing that, because every time I go to the bathroom, every time I take a 5-minute break, I'm on my phone, looking at Facebook, looking at Instagram, looking at Twitter, because that's how I numb out. I just kind of relax and think about other stuff. And that's when I'm looking at the people that I have liked and what do they have going on? Oh, wow, there's a pop-up art gallery this weekend. That's so cool. I think I want to go to that. So make sure that you're speaking to the people where you think they're going to convert. Do you guys have any questions about this? Okay. So the last part of what we're going to look at is the monitoring, which all of this stuff is what's gotten us to here. We've pressed place order, it's been approved, and now our ad is rolling out. And I want to watch it now. What's going to happen? What's going to come off of it? How are people reacting to it? What is my average frequency? That's a really great one. How many times has this been put in front of the same person? So I prefer to keep a frequency of 3 or below, depending on what the overall customer's goal is. If their goal is just let people see it, then I'm not really concerned if the frequency goes up to 7, that you saw the same specific ad 7 times. That doesn't bother me anymore because I just want to be in your head. But if I specifically just want you to do this one thing and I don't want you to feel bothered by it, then I want to make sure that my frequency is 3 or below, that you've only seen that ad 3 times and you don't feel annoyed. Because if you feel annoyed, then you're going to be more likely to go back and spam me out or hide my post or unlike my page. So Clicks, it gives you how many people have actually clicked on it. Well, not how many people, just how many clicks, because I could have been 11 of those 24 clicks. So I'm going to show you in just a minute how to dig deeper and see unique clicks and clicks. You've got your click-through rate, which is really important and telling. That's going to just be the difference between how many people saw your ad versus how many people actually clicked it. And if your click-through rate is really low, that's an indication that your ad is not performing well. If you see it, 1.6 isn't of any concern, but if you were to look down, you would see I had 5 different options of this ad with 5 different graphics. 2 of my ads ran and the click rate was like 0.57. The other 3 ads were all 1.6 or above. One of them was 4.3 click-through rate. That's an excellent performing ad. So in the end, I threw all my money behind that ad and turned the rest of them off because it was converting. People were clicking. Something about that worked so much better than the other ones. I really don't know what, but now I know that I need to do the rest of mine more like that. They obviously liked that graphic. It stood out somehow because the text did not change. It was always the same. So relevancy score, this is really important and really, really new. Google does this where they have, it's called a quality score. And essentially, if you're 7 to 10, you're paying X amount % less per click. If you're 4 to 6, you're paying exactly cost per click. If you're 1 to 3, you're paying a certain percentage more per click. So they're kind of saying, you're not targeting well enough. You're not speaking to the right audience. This page doesn't make any sense to what your ad says. They've gotten a lot stricter about it. And it's really, really great, but it can also be really, really terrible. So make sure that you're paying attention to it. If your relevancy score is lower than 4, there's a problem there and you need to look at that. Your landing page isn't talking about the same thing that your ad is, or your image and your graphics and your text are disconnected somehow. So while it can be a little damaging, it's really a great indicator of how targeted and well your ad is going to do. It gives you what you spent today, your total spent, and how you're optimizing your bid strategy. So for us, we wanted more clicks than anything else. So that's how our bid strategy was, and that's what it lays out to me. And then it tells me my average cost per million, which is cost per 1,000 views, is $11.76. So this is just a really nice breakdown of what's going on. I come in here, I immediately see it, and I've even got the little total actions breakdown over on the far right for you guys. And it's just a nice little synopsis. So we're going to get into this a little bit further because it's really all about the numbers. So let's see. Let me hop over here and exit. I said exit. Bear with me. Technical difficulties. Exit F11. Thank you. All right, so ad set summary. So this is that same ad that I just showed you guys. And you can see I'm going to bring up all my different creatives. So it gives me the details for each individual ad set, despite the fact that this one had a different graphic than this one versus this one. But what I really want to know right now is, outside of the ads that I almost immediately turned off, what really happened? So, I do want to show you guys this really fast. This is on the same landing page that I just showed you. And what it gives you is a breakdown of when was it running, what was the lifetime budget, where was the optimization placed. So mine was optimized for conversions, targeting and placement. It gives me exactly where the locations were that I'm targeting, plus the radius that's attached to them. The behaviors, I chose smartphones and tablets, business marketing, or Facebook page admins. My age range, which is 22 to 65, the English, and where was I placing it, which was only third-party apps and mobile newsfeed. My estimated daily reach, just a really nice synopsis right there. So you see I've checked these 3 that were my ads that were turned on, and I went to go view report. So it opens up a new window, and it's going to take you into more of a data layout. And this is the page where you would be able to download an Excel sheet if you prefer to look at it in Excel. If you know a lot of formulas and can do all the fun stuff that you can do in Excel, then that's definitely where I prefer to look at it. But I immediately go in and start deleting columns, and I have all my formulas that I just immediately tuck in, and that way I can bring it up in an Excel sheet and get a really fast indication of what's going on. So first thing you can do is you can customize these columns. You can come in and say, I want to see engagement specifically. How many page likes did I get off this? How many post likes? Were there any website clicks? Did people check in? Did anybody answer me? What was my cost per page like? What was my cost per engagement? You can go in and say any of these things, and they're going to then show up. That data is going to show up over on this report. You just press apply, and bam, now it's over here. So it's really important that you make sure that you're looking. You can choose how you want it to break it down. So like this one is breaking it down by the different news feeds or audience networks. But let's say that I would rather look at the breakdown by age. Well, now I've got it broken into my different age categories. And it's also going to filter that by men and women gender also. Or nope, excuse me, this one's just age. So you would have to choose age and gender to be able to break it down that way, which I like to do because I think it's really important that you know what age group and then what gender that's attached to as well, because you may have this huge demographic in 25 to 34 women, and then the next biggest demographic is actually 55 to 64 men. So you want to be able to speak to those two people differently. So you come in and you see your overall reach, the frequency, which you remember we kind of talked about that, how many times someone sees it, your total number of impressions. So that's not a unique impression. That means, Lindsay, if you saw this 12 times, then you're in this 4,365 total. But my reach is individual people. So there you're only counted once. It gives you your total number of clicks, and then you can equate that back down to the individual ads versus age and gender or placement, or however you're deciding to write that down. Thank you, Train. So right here, you've got clicks versus unique clicks. So while I had 69 total clicks, actually I had 54 people that were clicking. So it's nice to know that I had people, some people were really interested and they clicked multiple times. And that's great. I hope I get to speak to those people again, because obviously they were interested in what we had to say. It gives you your total average of click-through rate. So just looking down here right now, I see this huge spike right here and 5.9 click-through rate and 6.5 right here. So now I want to know that is female, awesome, and male. And it's not giving me my age. Age is over here. Looks like it's 55 to 64 and 35 to 44. So I'm going to want to remember that, and I'm going to write that down, because the next time that I run this ad, maybe I'm going to leave out all those younger, and maybe I'm going to run one ad that's specifically females in that age group, and then one ad that's specifically males in another group. That way I can speak to them a little differently, because this obviously really, really worked for that specific age group. So I want to make sure that I continue to talk to them. It's going to give you your unique click-through rate, which is important because you're looking at the difference between overall clicks. Like again, if you clicked 11 times, then I'm counting you in my click-through rate. But if I'm looking at my unique click-through rate, now you're only one person again. And that's important to know. Because like here, we can see our unique click-through rate went down in that 34 to 44 women, but it actually went up in the male group. So I'm going to remember that again. Maybe I need to put a little bit more emphasis into the women's ad and make sure that I change my tone, because they didn't seem to respond as well when we look at unique click-through rates. It gives you the amount spent equated to each individual breakdown. So if it's broken down by placement, then it's going to tell me exactly how much I spent on each ad for mobile views and third-party ads. Right now, it's telling me exactly how much I spent per gender, per age group. Which again is good to know, because when I go back in and I look at these click-through rates, if I spent a lot of money on an age group that really didn't perform, I'm not gonna keep them in the next ad sets. Again, you've got cost per click and cost per unique click, which I think both of those are individually important. It's great to know what your cost per click is, but if I have the same person clicking 15 times, are they a competitor and they're trying to figure out what I'm doing? Are they just somebody out there just going click happy? Did someone's toddler get the phone and just kept clicking? So sometimes it's really important. You make sure you look at the unique cost per click versus the cost per click, because they can be pretty different. And then you've got your total number of actions, which in this case was clicks, versus the people taking those actions. So we're really close in actions versus people taking action. So that's a positive thing. We had people going over and then they either converted or they did not. We got 1 page like out of this campaign, which was not even our goal. So that really doesn't affect me, but yay, I'm glad we got it anyway. We had 41 total website clicks and 1 website action. So this action was an actual conversion. This person came over to my landing page, they read all my information, and they said, you know what, I do want to speak to someone. And they put in their information, and it sent Tim back there a little email, and he called him the next day and said, hey, let's talk. And now maybe or maybe not they're a customer, but I now know that I got at least 1 lead off of this ad. So then I go back and I say, how much does an average sale bring in for this company? What are my average costs internally for how many employees are working on this and all of that? How much did I spend on this ad? Hey, I just totally nailed it, because that conversion was so much less than I would have spent on sending him to Rotary or taking people to dinner or just spending mileage, paying him to go around and, shake hands. So it's really important that you know what your end of the day, what are you going to spend and what works out for you, because it's different for every client. Because like I said, my one client, he's happy with, $1,400 conversion. But if that was us, Chris would probably fire me. So, it's different for your business, and just make sure that you're keeping that in the back of your mind. I mean, you don't have to have it as detailed out as I did, but you know what you're probably going to spend per customer trying to get that person in. So just keep that in your mind so that you can really say this is positive or this is not. So let's say I do decide I want to put this over in Excel. I want to use this and just, file it so that I know exactly what happened. All you have to do at that point is just click this export. You can include the summary row. You can export it as a CSV or an XLS, just depending on what you use. Like if you use FreshBooks or I can't think of it. I don't do accounting, so I'm really sorry. But the big accounting software, QuickBooks. There we go. Depending on what kind of a program you use, you might want to export it a specific way. You'd probably need to check with whoever does that. And then it's just export, and it'll download right here. Pull it up into Excel, and it's going to tell you that my registration is expired. I know. And that's when you bring it up. And so I almost immediately come in and I just start deleting all of this stuff in here. Because to me, all I want to see is the data. And this, I know what ad it was. I know where it was. I just want to see the individual data sets. But like I said, for me, I prefer to see it over here because I feel like I get a bigger view. I can shorten down my columns and get a really just easier idea of exactly what happened, and then run all my formulas down at the bottom to quickly generate a report for my client and tell them, hey, we hit your demographic on the head. Check it out. We had this people right here, and our cost per conversion was this right here, and this was our demographic. And they say, thank you so much, Katie. We really appreciate it. You make us look awesome. So it's important to look at it how you want, whatever makes the most sense to you. But by all means, please look at it because it's going to give you the best idea. Do you guys have any questions? I know it was a lot of information. Anything? Anybody? No? Okay. Well, that's everything I got for you. If you think of something, my email is katy@WideNet Consulting. You can always feel free to email me if I can be of any assistance. But this will be online. You'll be able to watch it again. So if you missed something, or if you'd like to go back and watch that other one and then come back and watch this one, you have that ability, and it's always free. So thank you guys so much.